On 5 News, cleared. Pauline Kafaki, the British nurse who caught Ebola helping others in Africa, found not guilty of trying to keep her illness secret.
She would never have knowingly put anyone in danger. Pauline was lucky to survive, and since her return from Sierra Leone has continued to suffer from ill health.
So why were the charges ever brought? Also this evening, David Cameron's disastrous Libyan legacy. He got a hero's welcome at the time, but now MPs say the former Prime Minister made terrible mistakes when he helped oust Gaddafi. The father of 4 killed defending his livelihood. A man's found guilty of manslaughter. Tropical storms in Manchester, floods in department stores, and now the Met Office raises the heatwave alert. What is going on with the weather?
Oh yes, the record breaker, the history maker.
And those Paralympians just keep delivering as Great Britain surpasses its 2012 medal tally with 4 days left to go. Hello and welcome to 5 News. I'm Sian Williams. She put her life on the line to save others. Today, nurse Pauline Kafaki, who almost died after contracting Ebola in Sierra Leone, has been cleared of trying to keep her illness a secret. Health bosses accused her of hiding her temperature when she arrived back at Heathrow Airport. And if she'd been found guilty, she could have been struck off. Julian Drucker reports.
With her integrity and livelihood in limbo for months, Pauline Kafaki's relief at being cleared of misconduct was visible. Accompanied here by her lawyer, her health remains fragile. But she's now free to continue with the profession for which she nearly lost her life.
Throughout her career, Pauline has been motivated by a genuine desire to help other people, even if this meant putting her own life at risk. She would never have knowingly put anyone in danger. Pauline was lucky to survive, and since her return from Sierra Leone has continued to suffer from ill health. The NMC disciplinary process has been very upsetting and stressful for Pauline. However, she's delighted that the panel has made the decision that she has no case to answer and that she's now able to continue her nursing career in Scotland.
This was Pauline Kafaki battling Ebola and gravely ill after returning from Sierra Leone in December 2014. After being exposed to Ebola in West Africa, the Nursing and Midwifery Council heard claims she had potentially put the public at risk in the UK. The panel heard allegations she'd failed to disclose her high temperature as she passed through medical testing at Heathrow Airport. But after hearing evidence across 2 days, the NMC decided she had not set out to mislead those screening her. And her legal team pointed to her previously unblemished record. Ms Kafaki is now free to continue working as a public health nurse. Just a few months ago, she featured in a TV documentary where she revisited the medical team who saved her and saw the isolation bed on which she was treated.
I just know that I never want to go back in there again.
How do you feel, Pauline?
Pauline Kafaki had no comment to make today, but within minutes of the ruling, Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon tweeted her support. Her bravery is an inspiration to all of us, she said. Julian Drucker, 5 News.
A man has been found guilty of the manslaughter of a warehouse manager who was killed during an armed robbery at his premises in Birmingham. Akhtar Javid's family watched CCTV footage of the moment masked gunmen shot him for refusing to open a safe. The man who police believe fired the fatal bullet is feared to have fled to Pakistan. Frankie McCamley has the story.
A loving father of 4 and a hard-working businessman who always treated everyone kindly. Akhtar Javid owned a catering supplies company in Digbeth in Birmingham until he was killed in an armed robbery gone wrong.
It's the hardest thing to think that you're not going to see your mum and dad grow old together. And I remember, that used to be one of the things that I used to pray for all the time. I used to hope that I can see my mum and dad grow old together and live happy, So yeah, that really hurts actually.
This CCTV footage captures the moment masked robbers burst into his warehouse carrying guns. They force staff into an office and push Mr. Javid into the lobby, where they try to force him to open the safe. When he refuses, they shoot him in the leg. Moments later, tied up, trying to defend himself, he's shot once in the throat, then in the mouth. The gang drive away with nothing. One of the men was Sander van Alten, a former employee known as the Inside Man. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery. Here, a scribbled plan of the warehouse he drew so the gunmen could find the safe. His accomplices include Farage Mystery, cleared of murder but found guilty of manslaughter, and the getaway driver, Lamar Wally, found guilty of conspiracy to commit robbery. But the man who police believe killed Akhtar has not yet been caught. Tahir Sarif fled the country to Pakistan with his mother 5 days after the murder. He is now the centre of an international manhunt.
We believe he's the person that pulled the trigger that killed Akhtar Javid. His family cannot begin to get closure until this man is brought back to the United Kingdom and faces trial.
Mr. Javid's family are urging the suspect to turn himself in, following the murder described by police as planned, callous and cold-blooded. Frankie McCamley, 5 News.
Police are searching for a convicted killer who's gone on the run from an open prison. Darren Jackson was jailed in 1986 for murdering a mother of 3. He failed to return to Sudbury Prison in Derbyshire. The 51-year-old is described as 6 foot 4 inches tall and of slim build. Former Prime Minister David Cameron has been severely criticised by MPs over Britain's military intervention in Libya. The Parliamentary Committee said there was no coherent strategy for the campaign in 2011, nor for what should happen after the dictator Gaddafi was overthrown. And it said that helped so-called Islamic State to flourish. Our political editor, Andy Bell, reports.
It was his first big combat decision, and after the RAF helped stop what might have been a massacre in Libya, it felt like a triumph.
Colonel Gaddafi said he would hunt you down like rats, but you showed the courage of lions, and we salute your courage.
But what followed the death of Gaddafi has been a disaster for Libya. Local militias have fought each other rather than acknowledge a national government. The so-called Islamic State has gained a foothold there, and traffickers have exploited the chaos to send tens of thousands across the Mediterranean, often with fatal results. Now, an important committee of MPs has brutally criticised Cameron for his policy on Libya. They say a limited intervention to protect civilians drifted into an opportunist policy of regime change by military means. In an echo of the Iraq War, they say decisions were based on erroneous assumptions and an incomplete understanding of the evidence. And with no planning for the country after Gaddafi's fall, they say David Cameron was ultimately responsible for the failure to deliver a coherent Libya strategy. The chair of the committee says from the Prime Minister down, they should have been aware of the dangers.
Even with the benefit of hindsight, it should have been understood at the time that we were unleashing Islamist extremist forces, and there appeared to have been no appreciation at all that that was going to be part of the consequence of our intervention.
Sir Peter Ricketts was David Cameron's national security advisor at this time, and he thinks this report is unfair to his old boss.
It's too personalised on David Cameron, from what I've read, because this wasn't some sort of mission by David Cameron to go and liberate Libya. This was a response to an emerging crisis.
David Cameron declined to give evidence to the committee. The Foreign Office has said Libya was an international mission authorised by the UN. But would he get this kind of reception there today?
Well, Andy, David Cameron, of course, no longer Prime Minister and stepping down as an MP. So is it still damaging for him, this report?
I think it is, because after much criticism of his domestic agenda recently, this is one of his biggest foreign policy decisions being pretty comprehensively trashed by this report. And it's noticeable there wasn't exactly a stampede of people coming out to support him. All I would say is you did hear the argument from some people who would say, well, if people are complaining that David Cameron helped get rid of Gaddafi, take a look at another country where the dictator has been allowed to remain in place, namely Syria, and see if you think that's turned out any better.
Elsewhere in Westminster, the Labour leader had a good day in the Commons today.
Yes, Jeremy Corbyn chose to use all the questions he's allowed at Prime Minister's Questions to go after Theresa May, specifically on one policy, that of grammar schools.
What we need is investment in all of our schools, a good school for every child, not this selection at the age of 11.
What we need is a good school for every child, and that's precisely what we will be delivering with the policy that we've announced.
Now, it was noticeable that Labour MPs were right behind their leader today, and you can't say that very often, whereas on the Conservative benches, it definitely felt a bit more muted to reflect the fact that a lot of Conservative MPs have their own doubts about their Prime Minister's policy on this, and I think it shows Theresa May really will have quite a fight to get her grammar schools policy through Parliament.
Andy, thank you. Now, he might have won the Brexit battle, but Nigel Farage is not leaving it there. In the European Parliament today, he accused the EU's chief Brexit negotiator of being a fanatic and said his appointment amounted to a declaration of war. Danny Sinha is with me. Danny, what has got Mr Farage worked up today?
Well, it's a really lively session in European Parliament today. We heard from the President of the European Commissioner, Jean-Claude Juncker, and today he was giving his State of Union speech, and in it he made it very clear that Britain should get on with Brexit and trigger Article 50 as soon as possible. We then heard from the chief EU Brexit negotiator, Guy Verhofstadt, and he said his aim was not to punish the UK.
Brexit is not a matter of punishment. It's not a matter of revenge. I never did politics like that. It's, in my opinion, a question of the sound relation between Britain and Europe, and moreover, it's about how we want Europe, our own European Union, in the future.
Oh, Mr Farage, pretty stony face there. You can see what he thinks of that.
Absolutely. His face really says it all. And this was never going to be music to the ears of Nigel Farage. The outgoing UKIP leader, this was his time to really rip into the European Union. He accused them of a declaration of war. He also had some stern words back for Guy Verhofstadt.
If you were to think of this building as a temple, well, Mr Verhofstadt is the high priest, a fanatic. In fact, there is only one real nationalist in the room, and it's you. Because you want flags, anthems, armies. You are an EU nationalist. And I frankly think that this appointment amounts to pretty much a declaration of war on any sensible negotiating process.
So fireworks really flying there and high drama at the European Parliament. Of course, nobody can really do anything until Article 50 is triggered. That is, of course, the formal process of leaving the European Union. The only person who can do that is our Prime Minister, Theresa May.
Danny, thank you. Still to come on the programme. Flash floods and a heatwave warning. Has Britain's weather gone crazy? And helping the humble hedgehog, how Britain's much-loved natives could be in danger. All that and more after the break. Hello and welcome back. You're watching 5 News. Health warnings were stepped up today as the late summer heatwave continued across large parts of England. After yesterday's record temperatures, the south and east were again bathed in sunshine, and so too was the northwest, which yesterday missed out, instead getting thunderstorms, torrential rain and no end of disruption, as Peter Lane reports.
Tropical storm conditions in mid-September Manchester. After temperatures rose, lightning illuminated the sky. For a while, thousands lost power and incoming flights to the city were diverted. Then the downpour. Rain so heavy that it flowed through the roof into Manchester's Piccadilly station. And this department store got an unwelcome water feature as 2 weeks' rain fell in just 1 hour. Tram lines in the city centre became rivers and services had to be cancelled. But what a difference a day makes. This, the same spot this morning. Manchester drying out in glorious sunshine. So what is the weather doing?
This very hot air has travelled all the way up from Morocco in a line across very hot Spain and equally hot France and into parts of the UK. As it's travelled northwards with its heat and humidity, it's come across two things. First of all, the Pennines on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side we've got much fresher air pushing across that island. Once those two things come together, you get the catalyst for thunderstorms, big thunderstorms, and that's exactly what happened over the Manchester area yesterday.
One casualty of the weather was Manchester City's Champions League match against Borussia Mönchengladbach, postponed from last night to tonight. Visiting fans from Germany have forked out extra cash to stay an extra day.
Okay, we have to stay, okay? It costs, I don't know how much money, but well...
Despite renewed health warnings for heat and humidity, most are taking the extra sun with a smile.
Well, it makes you want to come out for a start, doesn't it? Get a few sun rays on you.
I don't know how I can explain it, it's just makes me feel good.
Very happy.
You're happier?
Happy, yes.
That's perfect.
I know.
I can see clearly now, the rain has gone.
As ever, this is the UK, remember, so expect normal September conditions to resume by next week.
Right by a sunshiny day.
Peter Lane, 5 News.
And of course, Sean Welby will have the forecast for you at the end of the programme. Skylarks, kingfishers, turtle doves, all names that conjure images of the countryside, all staples of British wildlife. But for how much longer? A new report has revealed that 1 in 7 species is in danger of vanishing, mostly as a result of intensive farming. Minnie Stevenson reports.
Britain's wildlife, a thing of great beauty. But now a major report has warned that as many as 1 in 7 species in the UK now face extinction unless urgent action is taken. A panel of wildlife experts found that aggressive farming, such as the use of pesticides and the loss of hedgerows, were the biggest threat to the survival of endangered species. While those farming methods may have helped to put food on tables, they found wildlife is suffering.
And the report found that nature is the one that's being squeezed out. Farmland currently makes up 3/4 of the UK's landscape, but researchers say that over 1,000 species currently living in the wild now face extinction.
The report found that 56% of species are now in decline. Among the worst hit, the skylark, water vole and the hedgehog. Turtle dove numbers have dropped by a massive 97% since the 1970s, while farmland birds have declined by 54%, and the number of butterflies has also fallen by almost half. Farming unions, though, have defended their practices, saying that since the 1990s, efforts have in fact been made by farmers to grow wildflowers for birds and bees in their fields. So what can be done to save Britain's wildlife? We're consulting a conservation expert.
People do understand that they have to grow crops and provide us with food, but we've got to look at how we can support nature. Creating more wetlands, 11% of all the wetlands are under threat in this country, so if we create more wetlands, that would be good.
Experts say if action isn't taken sooner rather than later, we can wave goodbye to Britain's wildlife. Minnie Stevenson, 5 News.
Now, it has already been a brilliant Games, of course, but Great Britain's Paralympians really have surpassed themselves. With just over 4 days to go, they've now won more gold medals in Rio than they did at the whole of London 2012. And here's the proof. Great Britain and Northern Ireland are in second place behind China with 38 golds and 80 medals in total. And rather fittingly, it was one of our very greatest who took us past our London total. Here's Warren Nettleford.
Crossing the line, this smile knew it would soon be in the record books. Sarah Story is a dame because she wins. A lot. This, her second cycling gold at Rio. Her 13th gold in a glittering career. And Team GB's Paralympian gold rush is showing no sign of slowing down. Last night, Libby Clegg was a clear example of that. The partially sighted 200-metre runner, here with her guide, broke the Paralympic record whilst clinching gold. And it was a similar story in the pool. 2 races, but the same outcome for Great Britain. Gold for Matt Wiley in the 50-metre freestyle. gold for Stephanie Millward in the 100 metres. But for some, only gold will do. Multiple gold medalist Ellie Simmons was last night left devastated with her bronze in the pool.
It's quite hard, but after a really positive performance yesterday,
I can see you're really emotionally, and that's completely understandable.
Paralympic Team GB have already surpassed the medals won in London 2012. Now it seems it's about breaking world records.
Oh yes, the record breaker, the history maker.
Kadina Cox, who has multiple sclerosis, took a gold and world record double in the 400 metres this afternoon. With 4 days to go, Great Britain still has time for more stories like this. Warren Nettleford, 5 News.
Now, before we go, let's hear from Matt. What's coming up on 5 News tonight?
Hi, Sean. Good to see you. We haven't done this for a while, have we?
Exactly.
At 6:30, we're going to be talking about the dangers of carbon monoxide poisoning with the father of a woman who was killed by the gas. Katie Haynes died in her own home in 2010. I'll be joined by her dad, Gordon, who's calling for all landlords to be required to fit carbon monoxide detectors in their properties. We'll also be talking about that decline in wildlife species. I'll be finding out how we can all help to protect some of those endangered plants and animals. Also,
welcome to the Great British Bake Off.
Goodbye from those Bake Off hosts. I'll be talking to the show's first ever winner, Ed Kimber, as we all wait to hear whether Mary Berry and Paul Hollywood will stay with the show when it moves to Channel 4, or if indeed baking will stay with the show. Everything seems to be leaving it at the moment.
Could all change.
Yeah.
Matt, thanks very much. Look forward to that. That is it. I'll see you again tomorrow at 5. Thanks for watching tonight. Goodbye for now.